Welcome back to Math 107 College Algebra. In this video, we're going to take a look at an algorithm for finding the inverse of a matrix. So I give you the matrix 4, -3, 3, -2. And we want to find the inverse. Now, first things first, what's an inverse? So an inverse is a matrix. So we say A inverse is the inverse of A if A times A inverse equals A inverse A equals the identity, which we talked about in class last time, is the matrix that's all ones along the main diagonal and zeros everywhere else. So now the question is, how do we find this inverse matrix? So what we're going to do is we're going to use an augmented matrix like we did solving linear equations. So on the left-hand side, it's going to be the matrix we started with. And then on the right-hand side, we're going to put the matrix 1, 0, 0, 1. So, now we're simply going to put this in reduced row echelon form as we did before. So, the first thing I'll do is I'll go ahead and multiply the first row by 1/4. So I get 1, -3/4, 1/4, 0. And the second row stays the same. And now I want to add -3 times the first row to the second row. So the first row stays the same. In the second row, I'm adding -3 times the first row. So I get 0. -3 times 3/4 is positive 9/4 minus 2 gives me a positive 1/4. 1/4 times -3 is -3/4. Then the 1 stays the same. And now I want a 1 in that first non-zero entry of the second row, so I'll multiply that row by 4. So I get 1, -3/4, 1/4, 0 in the first row, and then the second row I'm just multiplying by 4, so I get 0, 1, -3, 4. And now I want to add 3/4 times that bottom row to the top row in order to get a 0 in that second entry. So I get 1, 3/4 times 1 is 3/4, minus 3/4 is 0. Then -3 times 3/4 is -9/4 plus 1/4 is -8/4, or -2. And -3/4 times 4 is 3/4 times 4 is positive 3. And the second row stays the same. So we get a matrix that looks like that. And now the right-hand side of this augmented matrix is going to be our inverse matrix. So it'd be the same procedure if we were looking for the inverse of a 3x3, we just have more row reducing to do. The key is we do have to end up with something. The left-hand side of the augmented matrix is the identity matrix. If we don't get that, it's a sign that our matrix doesn't have an inverse. So that's how we find the inverse of a matrix. In the next video, we're going to take a look at how we can use the inverse matrix to solve a system of linear equations.